Recording in progress.
Kale, you there?
Hi, Coach. Thanks for joining us. We'll go ahead and get started if you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. Sounds good. Thanks.
Hey, Sean, it's John. I know you mentioned Dawson and John are already ruled out. Can you give us an update on what happened with Jordan? We saw he wasn't out there yesterday.
Yeah, just bumped his shoulder a little bit in practice the day before, and so we'll see how he looks today.
And Cole, I know he was listed as did not practice yesterday. He was doing some super light stuff with the wide receivers. Where is your optimism with him being able to get out there Sunday?
Yeah, I'm pretty optimistic. We'll see again how he looks as well, and once we get going here in about a half hour.
Great. Thanks, Sean.
Yep.
Hey, Sean, it's Jay. Along those lines with Cole, was he injured in the game last week?
Yes.
And just what's that say about his toughness that he had maybe his best game of the season? I don't know exactly when he was hurt, but to play through that and to produce the way he did.
Yeah. What you'd think. He's a tough guy, and it's part of the reason why he's a Bill. And, got injured at some point during the game. I believe it's the second half. And so good to have him work through that there.
And with Spencer Brown, is there any concern, as it's been a couple of weeks now since he's been able to practice, is there any concern that this is something that could be long-term, maybe a stint on IR or anything like that, or are you guys not there yet?
We're taking it day to day right now. We'll just see where it goes. At the end of the day, he's getting to know the NFL when we're getting to know him as well.
And, when you look at the production that you've gotten from your rookie class, Spencer being a big part of that, midway point of the season is usually a good time to kind of evaluate where those guys are. If you could just give me an idea, maybe, in general, what you've gotten from your rookies. Obviously, Spencer and Greg would probably top that list.
Yeah, why don't you just ask overall? Do you want to go specifically, or you want to say overall?
Whatever you prefer. I'm thinking more overall, and just as a way of saving you from having to run it down the list.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm thinking overall.
Yeah, just I think most of our draft classes have come in and contributed. Some earlier than others, which is to be expected. I've been very encouraged, in fact, by kind of the back end of guys, right? The lower draft guys and some of what they're doing at practice. And so without going too far in terms of showing our hand on things, I just would say that I think we're in a pretty good position right now. And what's important is that those guys continue to learn how this league works, how the process works, and how important it is to continue to develop and knowing that your number could be called any day here.
Sounds good. Thanks, Sean. Safe travels.
Okay, you too.
Hey, Sean. I'm curious. You guys have had a couple days now to really dive into the tape. Everybody around the league knows a lot about your Josh Allen, but the Josh Allen in Jacksonville, he's making some noise this season as well. What have been your impressions of what you've seen on tape? It seems like, he has some real potential at that spot.
He does. We liked him coming out. Very athletic player that can bend, has a burst off the line of scrimmage, and they move him all around. He plays in a 3-point and plays in a 2-point, off the ball as well. So he's a very talented player.
In terms of, Dion, it seems like last week he's been playing pretty well for a few weeks. You've seen real comfortable last week, had a pretty strong game. What have been your impressions of him, in recent games?
Yeah, I think with Dion, I thought he played really hard last week, and when you watch him, you're seeing growth every week, and that's the important part of our football team. And his growth is taking that mindset every week to improve, no matter who the opponent is. Week to week, it's really about improving your process in terms of your preparation every week, and improving your mindset every week to go out there and be the best version that you can become every week.
We mentioned some of the, moving pieces because of injuries. Everybody talks about Dion like the guy, right? Like everybody loves him in the locker room. He's so fun to be around. how nice is it to have a veteran in that spot, especially when you're going through these, kind of changes with injuries, to have a guy like Ike or Cody or John Feliciano, even a veteran, be able to play next to a guy like Dion who has a lot of experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think that goes hand in hand. I think there's a responsibility and an expectation for both positions, and that's really what playing offensive line is about. It's some of the parts, and if one person doesn't do their job or communicate, then we can have a breakdown that blows up an entire play. So the execution hinges on that process, that preparation, and the communication that ensues.
Thanks, Sean.
Sure.
Hey, Sean. I was curious with how well Tyler's been playing and the importance of those specialist positions. How often, and the Steelers this past week, they lost their kicker and it kind of changed their game plan some. How often do you guys go over those contingencies for the specialist positions, and how important is it to have those, backup plans in place?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's huge, especially early in the season as you're cutting the roster down, making sure you do have a contingency plan at certain positions in certain situations as well. So, it's never easy. I can tell you when you lose a kicker or a punter or a long snapper, especially in the middle of a game. That said, you want to make sure that you do have an insurance plan, like you said.
So, like in each of those situations, who automatically would fill that role?
Correct.
And then one other thing I wanted to ask you about, in terms of the production from the running backs this season, do you feel like you're seeing what you want out of Zach and Devin, or are there things you still hope to see kind of from that position group?
Well, I do. I think they're two young players, Devin in year 3, I believe, and Zach in year 2. And so they're young players whose best football, I believe, is ahead of them. A lot of confidence and trust in those two. And do I expect us to be able to do things better than we've done at times? Yes, I do. And I think that they would say the same thing. So it's about detailing their work. It's about running with an attitude, making people miss, breaking tackles, taking care of the football all the while. And that's a responsibility that they take. And I think to this point, they've done a fairly good job with that to this point. But again, I believe that their best football is ahead of them.
Thanks.
That's all we have for today. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Recording stopped.